And don't forget that tonight at a new time of 11:35 on BBC One, the traditional Christmas midnight Eucharist will be coming live from Winchester Cathedral.
Using the combined talents of Spitting Image, Roy Hudd and Sting,
let me tell you a story.
BBC Two presents a dazzling new performance of Prokofiev's Peter and the Wolf. Peter and the Wolf, Christmas Sunday at 4:25 on BBC Two.
Coming up in an hour's time this evening, the last in the series of The Team concludes its season with McLaren hoping for a win in Adelaide, which would make them the most successful Formula One team ever. This year's animal drama on BBC Two comes from the depths of the Australian outback, where Inyara the dingo struggles to survive. First, for an insight on the creation of his acclaimed wildlife films, Alan Titchmarsh talks to Simon King.
The animal drama has a special place in the hearts of natural history fans. With a central named character, it always seems to have more emotional impact than a straightforward nature programme. In a few minutes, we'll be meeting Inyara, a young dingo, together with her mother and brother in this year's animal drama from John and Simon King. So, Simon, what's the difference between a natural history documentary like Life in the Freezer that you've just been working on and an animal drama like Inyara the dingo?
I suppose the biggest difference comes when there's an animal in trouble. If I were to witness an animal in trouble because of man out in the wilds, I'd put the camera down, go out and try and save it. In an animal drama, I can reconstruct these scenes and illustrate them without ever having an animal in stress or in danger.
That looked dreadful. How can I believe that there is no distress to animals when I see something like that?
Well, hopefully it is convincing, that's the point. But believe it or not, the badger in that scene was nothing more than a glove puppet. The only thing getting in trouble was somebody's left hand in the middle of a fight with that terrier who was having a great time. But the point is, it's illustrating something that does happen out in the wild, something that people can do something about, positively. And a good example came from the film on the herring gulls I made, where herring gulls regularly get caught up in these plastic rings from can packs, and you can do something about it.
The frequent scuffles that break out over food cause careless actions. Herag jostles for a choice item, but is forced down into the litter. When she regains her balance, she finds herself entangled in a plastic can holder. The choking rings, discarded without thought by man, now threaten to starve Herag, twisting around her throat until she can no longer swallow.
Nasty. So these are the offending things. And what? Pair of scissors?
Cut them through.
Quick snip on each ring.
Boom, you got it, every loop.
Every herring gull's all right then, so we'll do the middle one a bit as well. But you see, some things, I still find it difficult to be convinced. I mean, I saw a hedgehog in one of your films.
In Pretty, yeah.
Being run over.
You'd be surprised.
Several roads cross through Pretty's home ground. Not big, not busy, but a danger nonetheless.
Poor thing.
Not really, honest. At the beginning and the end, it was a real hedgehog, but the bit in the middle, where the car goes straight over the top, it's nothing more than a little radio-controlled toy with a toy hedgehog on top. And it's there for just that long, so hopefully you don't spot the joins.
Fools the eye. Do you only use these sort of reconstructions for the sordid bits?
Not at all, no. There are moments when you can use these reconstructions just to simply show the beauty of the natural world. A good example comes from the otter film, when I spent a great deal of time walking around the west coast of Scotland following wild otters, but I also wanted to show their courtship behaviour. And to do that underwater would have taken years, and I only had 1 year to make the film. And so we set that up in a tank that was recreated to look like the seabed.
So all the animals in these animal dramas are really actors?
Not always. As I said earlier, there are sometimes wild ones, sometimes tame ones. There has been an exception to the rule. Carly the lion featured nothing but wild lions, and for me was a great pleasure to make.
Tempers flare around the kill as everyone jostles for position. Carly even seems to resent the presence of the kites, enough to try to do something about it.
Why is that then an animal drama and not a documentary?
Simply because Carly was played by about 7, 8, maybe 9 different lions. It wasn't the same animal throughout. I just simply saw lions doing interesting things, filmed them, and used their behaviour as the central character.
But isn't that cheating, really?
Not really, because I think that if you can concentrate on an individual, on a character, it helps you identify with it more closely, it helps you probably care for it more. And so it really is in the true tradition of a drama. If you had a drama with a human being and just called it Homo sapiens as opposed to a name, it would have the same effect.
How do you choose the name?
How do I choose the names? Any one of a number of different sources, but either from the Latin name of the creature, from the place it was filmed, perhaps even from a local name for that creature. In fact, the one I did on elephants was called Alia the elephant, which means elephant the elephant, quite literally.
You spent 10 years making these films now. They've shown us some amazing scenes. What, for you, is a special moment? Favourite bit?
That's hard. That is hard. I suppose, well, certainly one of my favourites was from the Swan film, when I filmed the birds taking off for their first time. It was a very special moment for me because I'd recorded them right from the point of them being hatched.
Simon King. Thanks, Simon. From those swans, then, on the Somerset Levels to the central desert of Australia and Inara the dingo.
Dawn at the heart of Australia, about as far away from the sea as you can get in any direction. Boulder-strewn, dusty, sun-scorched desert, home to only the most tenacious, the most resilient of creatures. Dingoes have learned how to survive here. They've had to. Deefa, in particular, is very good at it, which is probably just as well, because her 8-month-old pups are still largely dependent on her. There's precocious Papa, the male, and the timid Inara, the female. Their mother is still helping them to find food and water in this God-forgotten place. Not all food is easy to see. Sometimes it comes in strange and unfamiliar packages. A thorny devil, a brilliantly camouflaged lizard, would make a tasty if prickly snack, but with little scent and no movement to give it away, it goes unnoticed by the dogs. Each day is much the same. Early, before the sun gets hot, the family tour their large estate, marking boundaries as they search for the essentials of life. They'll have a go at anything that moves, even a flock of galahs, though they know before they charge that they're really hard to catch. It's April, the end of summer and a familiar time of drought. After last year's brief rains, very little water still exists in the desert. The dingoes, of course, know where to find what little remains, and each day they visit the sheltered rock holes. Hidden here are rocky basins which never see the sun. They lie deep and cool in perpetual shadow. There's no source, no underground spring, simply rainwater caught and held in nature's cisterns. Inara and her family enjoy not only a vital drink, but a brief and cooling dip in the increasingly stagnant puddles. The last good rain was 6 months ago. No one knows when the next will come. Deefa rests, partly shaded by a rocky overhang, but the flies soon find her. Sheer numbers mean that she must catch some. Here, in the summer, temperatures can reach nearly 50 degrees centigrade at the peak of the day. At first sight, this is an uncherished, unproductive place. But as a result, both animals and man have shared its scarce reserves untroubled by the needs of commercial farmers with their fences and their guns. The native people, the Aborigines who've always lived here, are happy to share their meager existence with the dingoes. In the evening, the rabbits, the largest part of these dingoes' diet, cautiously leave the cool safety of their burrows to feed. They are all able and alert adults, no vulnerable young at this time of the year. Inara and her family make many strikes against their wily prey. Today, they all fail. In the end, frustration and hunger force Inara to attempt a dig out. She listens attentively to every sound echoing in the tunnels. The whole family are searching for a rabbit which is hiding just below the surface. It's Inara's brother Papa who takes on the hot and dirty job of digging for the food. Being the bright, intelligent and inquisitive creature that she is, Inara stays in close support, just in case a rabbit makes a dash for it. Her devotion to duty is outstanding. The sands of time are running out for Inara. She decides to leave the family group for a short while. She goes off to hunt on her own. She's done it before. They don't always travel together these days. The local Aboriginal Council has brought in a livestock consultant to look at their desert, to see if cattle could graze enough from it to sustain life. It's a lonely, tough job, but he's used to roughing it. As darkness cools the desert, he sets about preparing the last meal of the day. Nothing fancy, although he does use a non-stick pan to reduce the need for washing up water. It's corned beef hash yet again, a familiar feast, with a familiar smell to him, but totally new to Inara. She waits in the scrub, not afraid, just respectfully cautious. She's never seen such an animal before. He hears something. There's no sense of alarm, no move toward the gun. He has a willingness to share this wild place. As the man settles down to sleep under the stars, Inara screws up the courage to approach the stomach-warming scent that's still drifting from the fire. It takes courage to move into open space, but the smell has pulling power. The man doesn't begrudge her the leftovers. He takes satisfaction from her proximity, encourages her closer. He's pleased to have company, someone to talk to.
Come on, Dingo.
Then one slightly sharp move, and the spell is broken. She's off to the safety of darkness. The new experience has taken its toll. Inara is slightly unnerved and feels the need to make contact with her mother and the rest of the clan. They regrouped in the night and roamed their territory together. Their hunting has produced little to eat, but thankfully they have reserves. They are a successful pack. Possibly some interbreeding with domestic dogs in their early lineage has produced positive benefits in their physique. Their morning play is half-hearted. They should be saving their energy, but puppy spirits have their way, and Papa and Inara indulge in mock battle. Then they spot a dingo from a neighboring pack. A sad, emaciated victim of the drought, weakened by hunger and hungry because of weakness. It's a closed circle that's difficult to break. Nature seems to feel no sympathy. No dingo pack can tolerate a stranger in its midst. Papa leads the chase, closely followed by Difa and Inara. If they can, they will kill the intruder, but not to eat. They corner her in a thorny bush, where she stands at bay, protecting her rear end. None of the family will approach the front end with a face like that. Who would? She's brave, this ragged little female. Already carries scars from a previous fight. Inara, Papa and Difa wait for something to happen, making small, nonchalant forays towards the bush sanctuary and its spitting guest. Eventually, the little one makes a break for it, and the Inara family follow. In the heat of the chase, they make the mistake of crossing into a foreign territory. They've followed their prey into her own backyard. A commotion has been heard by the rest of her clan, and the neighbors are not amused. Suddenly, the tables are turned. Despite his size, Papa is challenged and eventually overwhelmed. He's had 6 snarling dingoes on his backside and succumbs to the overwhelming odds. At the boundary, both parties stand off, leaving each other to go their own way in their own gardens. Papa, deserted by the others, lopes off to nurse a small wound on his nose. His mother and sister have gone on ahead. As the sun heats the rocks and the desert earth, the plants begin to shimmer in the heat haze. It's time to find shade, time to doze and sleep. This exhilarating lethargy will reserve the body's moisture and save vital energy for the coming night's hunt. Everything else is also resting, except the flies. Inara and the family dingo sleep their way through the long, hot days of summer. They've no sense of the age of this weathered, boulder-strewn territory they've chosen as their own. Forces so great that they're beyond imagination took hold of this part of Central Australia and cracked and bent it until it shattered into these massive rock formations. Millions of crannies and cracks infest the shadows thrown by the towering rock falls, forming shaded homes for hundreds of living creatures, a living larder for the dingoes. Dingoes were brought here at least 4,000 years ago, a mere blink of the eye in the general scale of things. They are the only large land predator left except for man. Rabbits, on the other hand, are newcomers. They arrived just 200 years ago. Success at last. One rabbit between 3 hungry dingoes. And Deefa has no intention of sharing. Inara, at first, stands back. Papa, on the other hand, is prepared to challenge his mother's dominance. Inara then takes her opportunity to join in this three-way tug-of-war. Inara's bite slips just before the prey divides. But as Papa walks off with the lion's share, Inara grabs again just in time to snatch part of what's left. What might appear to be a meagre meal was in fact quite a feast for a desert dingo. They can now rest content, the rabbit ensuring their well-being for some time. Despite its sometimes colourful appearance, this is a genuine desert, but that in no way helps to explain the incongruity of seeing camels here. Not camel trains laden with silks from the Orient. These are wild camels, descendants of animals brought here by settlers hundreds of years ago. The dingoes have never caught one. It's doubtful they ever will unless it's sick or very, very young. But as a way of having fun when your belly is full, chasing these odd-looking beasts sure takes some beating. There are, in fact, more wild camels in Australia than almost anywhere else in the world, more even than in Arabia. Deefa calls a halt to the fruitless chase. Full they may be, but water is in short supply. The rains are needed soon. Autumn is nearly over. It's the very end of May, and the recent rumbles in the sky, despite their promise, have come to nothing. Inara and Papa have never seen rain. They're becoming restless and twitchy as clouds mask the heat of the sun before beginning to scatter their precious burden. Then the torrent slows to showers. The dogs have no idea that this cold, wet blessing is already beginning to work miracles around them. They just want to get warm again and go about their business. They hardly recognize this wonder world of pools and ponds and puddles. Water everywhere, water to be enjoyed by all the desert dwellers. For Inara and her brother and mother, it's a chance to paddle and play and take a lap around the pool. The galahs are peacefully taking the waters too. That is until the dingo gang rush in. The deserted, muddy little puddle can hardly taste better than the pool that they were in. On and off during the next 2 months of this desert winter, the skies regularly darken and the rains regularly fall. It's August, the start of spring. The creative miracle is complete. Hidden flowers have bloomed and given the desert a new coat of many colors. By September, the rabbits have gorged on the new moisture-laden plants, and they're able to breed again. The warrens are full of young rabbits who have little or no experience of the dangers of life. Inara's larder has been replenished, but she still finds it hard to open the door. Her hunting technique is still a little wanting, still lacking finesse. Even with 4 times as many rabbits as there were in the summer, Inara still finds them hard to catch. Tali, on the other hand, has made a great comeback. The little female from the neighboring pack has grown in strength and size since she was chased and held at bay back in the summer. She's still smaller and more ragged than Inara, but she is hunting alone, and it's not just food she's hunting for. She takes a quick bath, and then she's off in search of male company. A young male from her pack arrives, attracted by her scent. She poses for a while, and then her loony high spirits get the better of her. Her intended is completely confused by her abandoned display, and it's not long before he loses interest. Actual mating within the pack took place weeks ago, but Tali's too young anyway for serious courting. She's just a dingo flirt. However, Tali has learned one lesson that Inara hasn't. She knows that there's not a lot of point in hunting the warrens too hard. The rabbits are always down the hole long before she gets there. Now, she doesn't waste her energy. She doesn't even try to hide. If she's not very hungry, Tali just walks through the warrens, hoping to spot a juvenile that's just waiting for her to strike. There aren't many that stupid. Even when hunting alone, the packs like to keep in touch. One of Tali's brothers begins to contact call, and then it's not long before all the clan join in from wherever they are. The night air shivers with their haunting calls, cries that confirm their presence to family and to neighbors alike. Inara is also still hunting alone, still finding it difficult to get enough to eat. A red-backed kingfisher watches her from its perch on a fallen tree. It shows no concern, but Inara is fascinated. It's an amazing bird which lives in the desert without a flowing river in sight. Though a true kingfisher, it lives on lizards and insects, not on fish. Inara can also survive on lizards, but she needs lots of them, or a big one, like this skink, which would make a very good meal. What Inara doesn't know is that it's not at all dangerous. Luckily for the skink, she's not prepared to take any risks. It's the first one she's ever seen, and she's totally fooled by the ferocious display. It's a battle of wills, which in the end the skink decides to end by waddling off at top speed to seek shelter in a hollow tree branch. Once inside, the skink should be safe. The only danger would be if the rotten wood collapsed under Inara's weight. She doesn't give up immediately, but the bluff has worked. She's just let a healthy opportunity slip away. The desert can be quite a lonely place. Inara seems pleased when her mother and brother turn up, though their high spirits frequently lead to tussles. Such rough and tumble is part of the conformation of dominance in the group, and whilst they're not intended as serious battles, they can on occasion get a bit out of hand. It looks really vicious, but few bites are driven home. They can't afford to injure each other. They must stay fit to survive. Deefa, the mother, proves her dominance yet again. None of the trio has come across a centipede before. Their caution is well placed. This hardy little creature carries a nasty sting in its tail. Well, not in its tail, actually. It's the front end that can deliver a venomous bite. It wouldn't kill the dogs, but it would be very, very painful, especially on the nose or soft mouth tissue. The dingo's pads are so hard that there's little chance of a centipede causing damage there. In the end, the dogs grow bored and, driven by empty bellies, set off together across the plain, determined to find something to eat before nightfall. They spread their search wider, move further and further away from the rocks. Goannas are the largest lizard in Australia. They can grow to nearly 2 meters in length. When under threat, the lizard freezes, and its stillness gives it the look of an old rotting tree branch. It doesn't even move when prodded by a cold, wet nose. Then when the dingoes least expect it, it's up and away, and it's very fast. Goanna shoots down the nearest rabbit hole to safety. 3 hungry and frustrated dingoes gather round the entrance. Life is not a lot easier for the neighbouring pack of dingoes either. Tali's male playmate is getting very thin. He's given up chasing rabbits and is instead hunting the lizards. He quarters the desert, sniffing and listening for movement. His quarry is really a last resort. Such tiny lizards are not only few and far between, but they don't supply much energy either. As always, in the spring, the adult rabbits in the area move into their burrows at midday, leaving their inexperienced young to fend for themselves. The dingoes from both families know this, so they spend hours waiting, listening and watching for the unsuspecting babies to wander out. Then they pounce. Timing is critical. It's certainly not the easiest of techniques to perfect. In fact, it's extremely hit or miss. Mostly miss. In the end, persistence does pay off, but the reward is very small. There's no waste. Every bit is eaten, including the feet. Tali, like all dingoes, is an opportunist. She picks up any scrap she finds, often those left by birds of prey. Sometimes she watches the birds and then searches the desert where they've been hunting to pick up their leftovers. She has no trouble finding the carrion. She has an incredible sense of smell. She can sniff out remains from at least 400 meters. Tiny scraps of food are scattered all over the desert, often the remains of kills made by the wedge-tailed eagles. These birds are one of the few other hunters which spend their lives here. They're efficient rabbit killers, and Tali is not likely to get fat on what they leave behind. They sit for hours above the warrens, waiting for a rabbit to stray just a little too far from its burrow, waiting to swoop for a kill. Meanwhile, Tali has come across the bleached bones of a camel. All flesh has long since disappeared, but Tali smells rabbit on the air. The eagle is caught off guard. His quarry is too heavy to fly away with. He can only save himself. The frustrated eagle sits, twitching, watching, as its hard-fought-for prey is tucked into with relish. He decides to harass the dog to try and scare it off. There's no chance. So he waits to see if Tali will leave any part of what was, after all, a large adult rabbit. But even that faint hope is dashed as Tarly trots off with the remains. It was a very big meal, and Tarly's tummy is taut. She'll sleep extremely well tonight. The solitude and isolation of this place is only rarely broken by man. But occasionally the chief of this protected area, which is his homeland, exercises his right to hunt here. His arrival is noted by Inara, but no more than that. She has no reason to fear the rifle shots. She's never been made aware of their savage potential. Her innocence is based on ignorance, but this man is no threat. On the contrary, he regards himself as her friend. To him, the dingo is a sacred animal, closer to a brother or sister than an enemy. Dingoes are this chief's totem. He shows his great regard by offering Inara his rabbit, not a bullet. Elsewhere in this country, his people have in the past been treated as aliens in their own land, just as elsewhere, dingoes still are. But here, in the heart of Australia, they share the freedom of a world they can genuinely regard as their own.
New drama this Christmas on BBC Two. Anthony Hopkins stars in Alan Plater's portrait of the Welsh writer and broadcaster Gwyn Thomas in Selected Exits.
I'm setting aside childish things to become an eminent man of letters.
I've got a play running at the Royal Court Theatre. And not only that, it is transferring to the Piccadilly. You'd like the Piccadilly? Remember, come and see it.
Selected Exits, drama for Christmas Day at 9:15 on BBC Two.
The Seven Deadly Sins explores the virtues of vice.
Let a sin become your friend. It'll cheer you up no end.
Is there a positive side to sin? An appeals lawyer defends.
I can't get my juices of justice flowing unless I feel anger.
Through opera, drama and documentary, The Seven Deadly Sins are on daily through the Christmas week, beginning Christmas Sunday at 8:55 on BBC Two.
The hunt is about to begin. The hunt for Russia's most deadly submarine. The hunt for Red October, now on BBC One. BBC Two in half an hour returns to the final days of the Second World War, when meat was still scarce and vegetables were a good filler in the wartime kitchen and garden. On BBC Two now, the final round in the Formula One season means a last chance for success with McLaren.